Hi everybody, it is Julia from Julia K Art Studio, and today I have a sketchbook tour for you, and that is a very special sketchbook because it is my Wild Violet sketchbook, and I will tell you all about it. I will share all the pages, and if you're interested in seeing some process videos, then I will link the video where I share 5 pages and the process behind them. This sketchbook came about because I was watching the incredibly inspiring Ohn Mar I, and she was sharing her secret sketchbook, as she called it, where she had focused on one subject, the pear, and all the different techniques and experimentation with this subject, and the amazing sketchbook and all the play exploration that came out of it. I thought that was such a brilliant idea. That I just had to do that. So let's come on and check in my sketchbook that I have named Wild Violets. Let's start with the specs of the sketchbook. Oh, it wasn't on the back. Okay, it is a C-Bright of a Brighton watercolor sketchbook, 350 GSM cellulose paper with 20 pages. Yes, okay. On the front, I have a sticker from Sophie Magpie and a stamp. And I suppose we have to do it like this. And here we can see all the information about the sketchbook. I have finished, I think this is my 4th one, and I just really love them. Really good price, a really good value for money. What I started on the 27th of May, the inspiration from Ohn Mar I, and then I just scribbled down all the different things that I wanted to try out. I have not tried out all the things, but a lot of them I have tried out, and I like that I have all my original ideas right here. So the next time, because I am positive I will do it again with a different subject, I can just go back and see what the inspiration was, or the different ideas I had when starting this. Most of this is in chronological order, except the first one, obviously. And of course I can't find a white piece of paper, because who in a studio has a white piece of paper? Here, this was a random thing, and because this sketchbook is ring bound, you can obviously take stuff in and out, which is really nice. So what I did here is that I had been drawing this flower design, and then I had actually cut it out on my silhouette, putting this clear acetate behind it, and then just colored on the back to get this sort of stained glass effect. It's alcohol markers on the back here. Now, there is a lot of things I don't like about it, but this sketchbook is not about getting the best version of it. It's more about just getting all the ideas out. And I'm really happy that I have done that, even though maybe not all the pages look perfect or Instagram worthy. It's more about just empty my brain of all the ideas so I can go back and actually look at them. So here we have the first idea, and I thought, you know what, I'm just going to empty my brain and start not thinking too much. So I started with the Derwent graphitin, the little box, and some of the pencils. And I think this white is from the Inktense set. And what I really tried to do throughout this project is date and then also write down either the idea or the materials I have used, because I know that once I'm in it, I know exactly what I'm using and I can name all the colors. And once that is done, I'm like, I have no idea. So, but I do really like this sort of muted thing, but it has a little bit chaotic composition. It's a good start, I think. The next day, I was like, let's start with some warm-up stuff. And I decided to start with my favorite pen, which is this Furunosuke, and it's the hard tip pen, and I use it for everything. I love it. So blind line, one line, just to get myself going. Once again, this is not something I would do in a watercolor sketchbook or in any sketchbook, because I was like, oh, it will just look ugly. But here it was just like getting all the ideas out. Sort of the same idea, but with a brush. Just brush and watercolor, keeping the shape really simple. I had picked a bouquet of the wild violets that we have here on the art, and just like look at it and what shapes do you see, and that's it. And even here, like there's a lot of like maybe not the best color family on harmony, but I can see little things here that I really like. Here it's a double page and here I was thinking more about color. Now obviously wild violets that we have here are purple with green leaves, and I thought, what would you place them against? Would you place them against a black or a gray background? The same color background as the flowers? The same color background as the leaves? Or something completely opposite? So here I just took some watercolor and did the squares, and then went in with acrylic markers. And obviously the flowers here are not the best. I did them very much like leaf one, here, leaf one, leaf one. But I think it really gets my idea across, what I wanted to explore, that we have very closely the same motif, in the same composition and same color, but in the different backgrounds, and how much how different that makes. For example, I find this very harmonious to look at. I think this one looks really pretty, whereas this one really like almost like an eyesore. While I was doing this page, I was using acrylic markers, like I just said. And one of the markers I have is a really broad one. It's the... Ooh, can I find it now on my desk? Probably not. Here it is, because I've just reloaded it. It is a really big, chunky one. And in here I have a very, very soft lavender color that I use a lot for backgrounds. But I use that to do the initial shape of my flowers on this page, and I really like that shape. So with this big marker, I just decided to do that shape again and again. And I don't think these are the prettiest violets ever, but I really like the shape of it, and I really like that you can see that it's from a really big marker. And again, something that I would not have wasted a page on before, but now I'm really happy that I saved that and can come back visually to look at this again, because now I don't see violets anymore, I see little angels. Here I decided to bring out my Inktense pencils. My Inktense watercolor pencils, all of those I have in a box, in a drawer, in a box, and I hardly ever use them. So I was like, let's bring these out, and if you want to see how I actually achieved it, you can watch the video linked down below. Here is something that I started. I really wanted throughout this book to finish off with making a pattern. I haven't, and I don't feel like doing it now either. But again, I put down my ideas and I can see, even though it's really bad sketches, I can see what I was thinking about when I go back and look at them. And I'm really happy that I just have them saved here for when I do feel so inclined to make a pattern with violets or maybe something else. The next page here is actually very simple, and it's more the exploration of color more than the shape. And I decided to use my own watercolors that I have made, that I have in my tin right here. As you can see, I have quite a lot of lavender and purples and even warm blues here, and some magenta reddy colors, so perfect to mix with. I am a big fan of granulating colors, as you might see here. I think it's just so fun how much life you can get in these when you have some granulation going on. My favorite obviously has to be this color right here, and that is Doris, which is an ultramarine violet with a neon pink in it. So it's granulating, but it's very vibrant, and I just love it. Here I used the same watercolors to create a background, and then decided to go in with water-soluble markers. So the Pitt Artist pen, the Tombows, Ecolines, those kind of pens, creating a grid, and then these the flower in the squares, and just using different color of the green and then different shapes. Again, looking at the little bouquet that I had on my desk and trying to think negative space, because I started with the green, and I think they would look different if I were to do them now when I have gone through this whole book. But I think, again, it's a really fun, and it sort of echoes that sort of creating a pattern effect. For this, I decided to change up my surface a bit, so I've actually just taped this page in. It is, oh my gosh, I don't even know what they're called. Let's see if we can find some with a barcode. It is some Faber-Castell, like, oh, there. Okay. Some Faber-Castell Tiziano, 160 GSM, and I use this lovely blue colors, and I have pink and green too. Because here I wanted to go in with soft pastel and color pencils, and yeah, I really like it. Obviously it is still, I wanted to get that sort of sheer lightness of color, but still getting a little bit of summer fun. I tried to make my flowers and the flower leaves look quite realistic, and then adding in these tiny little leaves that are more cartoony and more to fill out the page. And I went in with some white for the highlights. Used mostly, like I said, soft pastel, but also my fancy color pencils that I keep in here, and these are the Luminance by Caran d'Ache and the Lightfast by Derwent. Because they're expensive, I keep them keep them alone. But I hardly have used them, and I was like, you know what, I should use them and get to know them properly. Especially this teal color. Oh, so pretty. From my most expensive medium to the least expensive, I would say, almost anyway, water-based markers and gel pens. So just having fun, and I decided to do the flowers with a lot of layers with different markers. and then go in with this really, really dark purpley color, and then a white one to make like a little spider web. Obviously, because it is water-based medium, the white gel pen will, or the white gel pen has taken up the ink from the colors below, but you can definitely tell there is some white highlight or spider webs in there, and I really like it. I like to add in, like, sometimes, you know, like a little bit brown in the leaves or imperfect stuff or water droplets. Love that. It's like nature sparkle. But I think I want to try and add in some more webbing in my floral work later on. I think it's very effective to add some more details without actually taking away anything. Another really good exercise, I took one of the flowers from my little bouquet again, and just a plain black watercolor, and tried to trace it. And it's really fun, and I think you can do this in forever, always. Depending on the flowers, they will always look different, and once you have done it once, you just twist it a few degrees and you can paint it again. Really fun. And obviously you can do it with ink. I really like doing it with watercolor because I wasn't paying attention to how much pigment versus water I had on my brush, because I was so focused on the shape of what I was drawing. So sometimes you have hardly any pigment at all, and then sometimes you have a lot, and I think that sort of adds to that feeling of just trying to preserve whatever you're holding. Another fun-ish experiment, I tried to use that watercolor again, but to paint the leaf or the flower and stamp it. In theory, lovely. Practice, not so easy. Now, this watercolor paper has a slight grain, but not a lot. I even tried to change up the watercolor for the ink from this ink, acrylic ink. Not this particular one, but you know, the brand of it. But it was really, really hard. So then I was like, okay, but can we use it on a jelly press? So I spent the 31st of May, I spent that whole day trying different techniques of doing some jelly printing, and it did not go very well. I've seen others do it with flowers and they have great results, and I don't know if I used the wrong materials, had the wrong technique, I don't know. But this is one of the more clear example. And on the other side, I just glued these papers together. So this one, you're like, that's not a good one at all. But when I looked at it, I was like, it kind of looks like sunshine through a window. You get that very soft shadows on the bedroom wall. So I decided to save it anyway, even though you can barely tell it's violets at all, but the feeling, I kind of love that. So I decided to keep it. You can see there is some transfer of colors on this from the other side. So this is, the flowers are painted using the Layer Cake by Jane Davenport. And it's gouache-like paint, I would say, but they do transfer a lot, as you can tell. But I really like the color scheme that I have in this circle, whatever I have put it. But it's really fun because you have these really bright neon colors and then some nice soft mint and lavender. So I decided to go in, paint the flowers, and then just add in the details with some color pencil. or Neocolor 1, sorry. And yeah, just add in a blue for the background. And I think it's a really nice color scheme. And I think it would be a really nice like fabric pattern. Here is another experiment that I'm like, it's not really what I was envisioning when I started. But there are things here that I really like. So like the shape of them, I really like. Very like beginning of 1910, 1920s. I like that. I like the where I have built up the background, so we have negative painting around the leaves. I just feel like I could have done a better job. But again, I really like the idea of it. And I think this is one of those pages where I'm like, but I might come back and work on it a bit more or use the idea again, because I think it's a really nice idea or a really nice technique. It just was not executed the best. I also feel like the paper was not too happy with that many layers of watercolor, which is fair. This is actually a recycled idea, if we can call it that. I suppose we can. I mean, all ideas are recycled because they are ideas. Anyway, so here is how it started on in my everyday sketchbook with some watercolor swatches, and then I just sort of brought out the flowers and then just highlighted with this really lovely teal color. And I wanted to keep that going, so I tried here, and I do like the visual impact. I think that the weight of it is fun, but I don't like the murky, cloudy background. I feel like what's really lovely about this is that the flower is almost like the contrast between them and the background is very low, and here like you can definitely tell it's just like that faint pencil line, where some of them have a little bit more, and I really like that. Some of them are very light and some of them have some more contrast. I feel like this one is a little bit overworked. However, I do really like it, and I love the use of the white ink and the texture that gives. I used a lot more soft pastel and color pencil here, and I think that was really fun to use that on watercolor paper. So again, the result might not be the best, but I really liked the idea and the techniques I tried out. Again, I had a day where I was like, oh, I don't know what to do. So I just used some water pencil? No. Water brush. And just tried to work just with a little bit of tone to get myself going. I was also sitting outside for a bit that day and had brought some colors, so did this really tiny little pattern, and I really love that. And then on the other side, some of that one line. And can we just see the confidence and like how I was doing these lines versus how I did just like a week before? Some collage, which I usually really love, and I'm really happy with the result, and here I'm not. But again, I'm like, that's fine. I have the idea is here, let's move on. This one was a few episodes of Ms. Marple, let me tell you. Decided to draw up a grid and do them like pixels. Yeah, why, I don't know, but I actually like it. I really like that I had to think about the different creams, and that I wanted not just one solid background but a little bit of a variation, and I liked that I had to think about the actual shape in a more geometric way. And yeah, I think it was really fun. here I had some acrylic ink in blue in blue and green. So I just painted this and then went in with white acrylic and my dip pen, because I love that dip pen, and I love this so much, and I love the shape of it, and I like that some of the areas are more opaque white and some are more faded. And I like the little lines for details or shadowing. I'm really happy with this. And obviously we used the white before, but because this has an acrylic base, it won't soak up into the white line here, so they really stand out. And I just love this so much. It has this very much sea lake kind of feel, even though it's very much not. It's a very much gravel kind of flower. I wanted to play with some ink, and I love this so much, using just dye-based ink, that I decided to do the whole page, and I love it. My process here was that I was outlining the flowers with a very light pen, and then wet the space and then charged in the different colors, and I loved how it looks, especially when I use a lot of water compared to the amount of ink, and you get these amazing color shifting blooms happening that you can only get with dye-based ink. And I just, oh, so pretty, so vibrant, so not light fast. But you know what, in a sketchbook, who cares? I love it. Another color study where I feel like I could have added in one extra square. So I go from black and white, sort of, black with a tiny bit of a color in it. This is supposed to be the color one, but I feel like I could have added in an extra square in between this one and make this one even more of a neon pop. So yeah, it's really fun to have the opportunity just to see how different you perceive the same shape, or with the different colors. More dip pen work, but this time I used watercolor as my dip pen ink. I used the purple that I was using here and just mixed it a lot more so I could dip in it and use that to outline my shape. And then I decided to go with a very muted color tone, and I really like it. It has a very vintage botanical illustration look about it, and I decided to leave it quite plain because I just love the softness of this. Here is definitely some more experimental pages. Watercolor, but using your finger. Yeah, that is something I tried. And if you want to see me actually doing that, you can head on to the link below and check out the video where I show you the process. So when I was doing that, I was like, okay, I'm going to do this page as a prep page so that I can dry while I was working on this. But then I was starting to layer, and I was like, I really like just the color, and I decided to do a bit more of an abstract. So I just used a flat brush and went in horizontal and vertical lines, and using the colors that I would use to paint it, and I really like it. I like that we have some really sharp lines. I like that some of them have really just fused together. This one is the Daniel Smith Appetite Genuine that granulates so beautifully, and then this fairly opaque teal that just sort of merges into the other, and I love it. I like it so much, and it really surprised me. some more dip pen action, this time with, we have some blue acrylic background, and then I have two different gold inks. We have the Winsor Newton gold, which is very yellow, and then the FW gold that is more antique. Can we say that? So I tried to use them together so that some of them have both of it. And again, I really like the line that I get, but I don't like the finished result. But again, something I might come back to about using one or the other. I think using them like this didn't work that well. But again, I have tried. One of my favorite pages, oil pastel. And I just have this little jelly paper to protect it. I have sprayed it with fixative, but it a little bit comes off, so I just keep it over here. I started with a green watercolor base, and then just went to town with the oil pastels, and I had so much fun. With the flowers here, I started with a very, very pink one, just to get a little bit of the vibrancy. And yeah, I don't know what it is with oil pastel, but I love it. I love the texture. I love working with them. It just looks so pretty when it's done. So this is definitely one of my favorite. Here we have some more of that blue acrylic ink again. But here I decided to use my metallic watercolor paints that I have. I keep them in two different palettes, but here is the one with, I think, that looks the prettiest because it's color coordinated. And I do have quite a few of the purpley colors and some that are very close to blue and obviously green. So I just went in and then I used the black drawing pen from Derwent to add in some black, and then the white one to add in just a little bit of the difference, add in some details on the leaves and that kind of stuff. I got some help one day, I say. It's not like I had a choice. I painted, because looking at all of these flowers, it's you know, one a big paddle and then four small ones, and I was like, you know what, that looks like a dog paw to me. So I painted Albert's paws purple and stamped them on paper, and I think it kind of looked like violets. It was really fun. So I went in with a little bit of color pencil just to add in a little bit of lightness and a little bit of darkness on the top there, and then some neo colors for some green and that yellow. I did actually do another one because I felt like this was very, almost a little bit too on the nose, so to speak. So I decided to do this one too, where I used a white one to fill in like the shape of his paw where it hadn't pressed all that well, and then some color pencils for these leaves-ish. Obviously it's not the leaves that the violets have naturally, but I really like them, how they tie everything together. So yeah, I really like this. It's my favorite, so it will definitely end up on the wall. On the back side of this craft paper, I was like, not letting anything go to waste here. Some violets, but in Neo Pastel 1, because that's my favorite. Some gouache, but very, very flat. And I just decided to add in some water droplets because, like I said, it's the glitter of nature. Again, another test page where we do like the same sort of motif, but here I decided to do with acrylic ink, with gouache, and with watercolor. And it is shiny. I had bought a new acrylic ink in purple because of this project, but it turned out it was shiny, and on the listing it just said like purple velvet, purple or purple velvet or something, but it was shiny. I can't say no to shiny stuff, so I couldn't even return it because I loved it so much. So that's the way it is. But here is the other ones. And here I just took some purple watercolor, and then I was like going to start to sketch out what I was going to paint, but then I was like, I haven't done anything with just pen in a really, really long time. Not even in my sketchbook do I spend a lot of time with just a pencil. So I just decided to go with a normal HB pencil and then a very black one. Oh gosh, I think has to be this one because it's the shortest one. To get like, you know, that really dark blackness that you get with a softer pencil. The last one. I didn't know it was the last one because I was quite busy with my thinking, but I think it's kind of fitting. The background is actually Frank. Can you see all the shininess of Frank? It's a ring light I'm filming under, which is very good at diffusing light. It's not so good when you have glitter and pretty stuff. But that is Frank. Frank number 2 to be exact. And then I went in with distress crayons, which are very similar to the Neo colors in feel. It just has a different color palette. And yeah, that's what I created. I think I started it, what did we say? The 27th of May, and this was the 26th of June. So about a month I spent in this sketchbook that I will call The Wild Violets. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you have really enjoyed watching through this and seeing all the experimentation, adventure and play that I had. It was such a good time, and I'm so happy that I, in a way, gifted myself the opportunity to do this. So yeah, if you like it, please leave a like. I will leave a link down below to the shop where you can buy the colors that I have made, and also a link if you want to see the video where I go through the 5 pages and the process behind them with maybe a little bit of an extra.